Welcome back, day 3. Today I'm going to dive into door-to-door sales, and because that inevitably was where what had happened in my life and the bankruptcy and repossession and moving back with parents and all that stuff led me to the point where eventually I was locked up for dangerous and drunk driving. So if I just take you to the very start of that period and door to door, I had no job, construction wasn't hiring, there was no other opportunities, and I was looking for anything to make money and get by. And at that time, that was my mindset. My mindset was, how do I make money? And sales was something that I kind of thought I could probably do. I can talk to people, I could put myself out there and have conversations. So sales would work. And I started looking at everything that I could find that was sales orientated. And there was only one or two things that had no experience required. So I applied for a couple of them. One of them come back to me really quickly. And the next day I was in Glasgow for an interview. And the interview took place in Baltic Chambers in Wellington Street in Glasgow. You might know it. If you don't, it's downstairs in one of the old buildings right in the centre of town. And went for the interview. The interview went relatively well. It was just this office where there was 4 or 5 different companies running out of it, and there was just chairs lined along the wall, and there was maybe 5 or 6 of us. So I got called in, and the guy invites me in. He's in a suit, sharp 3-piece suit, looks the part, into his office. He's got these awards, and he starts to kind of run me through the interview process, ask me a few questions. What have I done? What am I looking to do? And he says, look, perfect. What I'm going to do, how you think, I'll come back to you and we'll let you know the next steps. So I left, and as I leave, I get a phone call and say, look, Brian, we'd love to invite you back. Come back tomorrow and we'll get you to spend some time with one of the surveyors in the team. And I rocks up the next day, and the next thing I'm spending time with this guy's about 5'6", 5'7", and wears glasses. He's all suited and booted. I'm there sharp as I possibly can be, and he takes me onto the train. And I'm like, where are we going? So as we're leaving the office, I'm thinking, where are we going? But I just follow along. I've got no other options, no other opportunities, so I follow along. And we arrives off the train at King's Park in Glasgow, and the next thing we start knocking doors. So we're knocking doors, and as we go through, I'm like, he's getting rejection. Oh, wait a minute, he's been let in here. Next thing, he's drilling a hole in the back of someone's house. And I start to think, oh, maybe I could probably do this. And then he stops at probably 1 o'clock. Now we left about 11. So a couple of hours later he stops and he says, let me break this down for you. It's a training program, management training program. Here's the 4 different stages, and you can get promoted through them to build your own team and run your own office. And I was like, all right, the money looked decent. Again, I had no idea at that point that it was commission only, but I asked the question, and I said, so this money here that it says 1,000 to 1,200, 2,000 to 2,500, 5,000 to 10,000, and 10,000 plus in these different 4 stages, how do you make that? And he said, well, you see what I've done today, and I've done a survey for someone. He says, as much as that didn't become a job booked in, when that becomes a job booked in, I get paid for that. And I was like, so what if you don't, the rest of the day, if you just go about all these doors and you don't sell anything? And he said, we don't make any money. And I was like, fuck, no money. Like, I can spend money to go to work, and I can be at work all day and make 0. And in my mind, that didn't, I was like, surely you go to work to get paid for the time that you're at work. And that's one of the mental hurdles that you have, many people have in their life, is this: if I'm doing something, I should be reimbursed for it. Kind of know how it works when it gets down to the nitty gritty of it. You have to add value, and the value is what you're paid for. But that's another story for another day. So I started starting this business. Mum and Dad were completely against it, commission only. They were not at all amused that I was going to work for effectively nothing, but I did really well. Caveat there, about 2 weeks in, now this is the winter of 2010, 2011, and the snow was mental, and I'm out in dress shoes, a suit, and I'm trying to walk up these steep driveways, and I'm falling all over the place, and I'm getting rejected here, there and everywhere. So I phoned India and I was like, I can't do this, and I was effectively crying down the phone and saying, I can't, this isn't for me, I'm not cut out for this, I'm not built for this. And she was like, you need to keep going. So I did, and in a lot of ways it was the best thing I could have done, because it taught me skills and gave me value that I didn't have, because all I was a construction guy who could do anything in the ground, but after that was me spent. So therein I went out, started making sales. You start getting the opportunity when you make good sales, do an average of 3 sales a day, or you do 3 minimum sales a day, and you get someone out with you the next day to show them the ropes, and then you can start building your team. So I did that, and I built a team, and then the team kind of fell apart a little bit, and then I built a team again, and then I got promoted to assistant manager. But the lifestyle, as I discussed yesterday, was just one of hard work, hard play, little sleep, and just go. It was like an onslaught of chemicals into your body, and then this constant like pressure and drive and internal dialogue that you have to be doing more, and you have to be better, and you have to push, and you have to. And let me be quite clear, right? As much as that can sound toxic in many of today's societies, where we're taught that you shouldn't really be pushed that hard and you have to have the downtime and I get that. But there's certain periods in your life where you have to just push and make something happen. And when you're bankrupt and repossessed and you've got a mountain of debt that you're trying to pay down from that process, that's one of the times where you just have to run. And that's what I did. And I built teams quicker than anyone else in the office, because I was a force of nature. When I went out there, I got off the train or off the bus or out the car before I lost my licence. I got off of these things and I just ran. And it was from one door to the next, and I would run. And anyone who was with me who didn't keep up, tough luck. But what that born within the people who were there with me was, this guy is crazy, like there is something this guy is going after that makes sense to them. And like, if he's working this hard, there must be a reason. And that is a big part of everything in your life. People will watch you to see how hard you're working, because if you're working really hard, which is often, doesn't have to be that hard to be much harder than the next person, people will wonder why you're doing it, because they'll know that there must be some sort of reward that is there at the end of that work that is worthwhile. And that's what happened. So every night, the office was in the Baltic Chambers on Wellington Street, and as you walked down towards the train station, you walked past a Wetherspoons, and every night, without fail, into Wetherspoons, 1 beer, 2 beers, 3 beers, train home. And that was how it became a pattern. And before I understood the brain and how things become hardwired, there's like addiction and patterns of habit are in your brain as wee neural networks. Before I understood that, that's what I was doing. And I was building this pattern in my brain that drink every night, alcohol every night, go home, sleep, get up the next day and have energy juice and just work your arse off and then drink. And that was the culture that I was involved in, and that was the culture that I became a part of. Now, where it broke down is, so I was on they called it a push week or push weeks, but you had to do 2 weeks back to back of hitting certain revenue targets as a team. So you had a team of 15, you have to promoted one guy out, and then you had to generate this income target, and then you were promoted to assistant manager. Now, I'd done one push previously, and then this was the second one where I was really going for it. And I made it, and it was the next day that I was invited to a party after work on the Saturday. So I was like, I am coming to the party because partying's what I do. I work hard and I party hard. So went to the guy, got some drinks, headed to the party, and I drank. I drove there, so I drove us both there. Had no drink before I drove, but drove us both there. Conversation I had with the guy at the start of the night was, make sure I don't drive that car home. And if that tells you anything, that tells you subconsciously I knew that there was a possibility that was going to happen. I says, make sure I get in a taxi and go home. Too much to drink, blacked out, had no idea what had happened. Woke up in the cell. No idea why I was there. It was the worst feeling in my whole entire life, because I could have been there for murder. I could have never got out again. I could have been there for anything. And as it transpired, I had been driving the wrong way down the road. I had totaled my car. I could have knocked someone over, and I could literally, that period of my life could have seen like an extended sentence. It could have seen no opportunities for an extended period of time to do anything but try and fix what I'd done. Try and repay the debt of what I'd done. Now, that period there taught me plenty. Taught me how to sell, take rejection, taught me how to personally develop, but it also showed all the parts of my life where I had this need to fit in, this need to be part of something, this need to be accepted, this need to be cool, to be a man that everyone else wanted to have as part of their group, their circle. And that's not what I needed, but it was what I was aspiring to, and it's what I was driving for. So the lessons and the learns, work harder than anyone else you know. If you're in a sticky spot right now, work harder than anyone else you know, and watch what happens. Physically, financially, relationally, spiritually, emotionally. Work harder on these areas that you're failing in right now miserably, and watch how quick things change. The next part, the learns. If you are repeating a pattern in your life right now that doesn't feel good, if you're drinking too much alcohol, if you're smoking too many cigarettes or smoking at all, if you are eating way too much food, takeaways, absolute shit, processed crap, sugary snacks, if you are taking drugs, if you are fucking watching too much porn, if you're binging Netflix series like there's no tomorrow, you're avoiding something in your life, and the message is within that avoidance. What you're avoiding is being stimulated within you when you decide to do the addictive behaviour. And that was the biggest learn. That's it for today. Story will continue tomorrow. I'm loving sharing my journey with you, because I know that you have got parts of this in your life too, and this will help hundreds of guys, thousands of guys over the coming years, just by me putting mine out there. And sometimes it's about that. Sometimes it's about sharing and giving what you've lived to help other people get through what they have. Have an epic day.